Welcome back. With the Murray-Darling Basin Plan, the new version by Labor has passed the lower house, but will it pass Parliament? They have put water buybacks on the table, the government, because they say more water must be returned to the system. Joining me now live is Deputy Nationals Leader and Shadow Water Minister Perin Davey. Thanks very much for your time. So it's headed to the Senate, where you are. What is going to be your approach? We've spoken before, you don't want water buybacks at all and their effect on the community. What's your approach going to be to this bill then? Because if you sort of deal yourself out, it's all up to the Greens.
Well, and you're right, we don't support water buybacks. We certainly don't support open slather buybacks. But I am happy to have ongoing conversations with the government. When the minister says she wants to use buybacks as the last resort, I believe there are amendments we can make to the current reforms that will actually mean that that is the case. At the moment, the reforms in front of us indicate that buyback would be the first option, but I think there are things we can do, and I'm happy and would like to talk to the minister about where we can make changes that actually reflect her rhetoric.
So codify that in some way, and I know you've spoken before about however money flows, that it needs to go to the community's economy, broadly speaking, so it's not going to 2 or 3 pockets which might not keep the money there. And then, if that in some way can happen, and I get it's complex, but we've only got a few minutes, you could be open to supporting the bill?
Look, I will withhold actually commenting on whether we will support or otherwise, but I am certainly, my door is open. I would like to have those conversations. I think there are changes we can make that improve this bill. That will help support and give communities some confidence that the minister means it when she says that she wants to minimise socio and economic harm and put buybacks as a last resort.
Is that sort of you dealing with the realpolitik of this, that if you don't, there's a deal with the Greens and it wouldn't go that way, the needle would shift the other way?
100%. I mean, I would love to just be able to say, I don't support buyback and I walk away, but that is not necessarily going to be the best outcome for my communities who are coming to me saying, please talk to the minister. And I'd like to talk to the minister.
And what's your authority on that? Do you need to get the best deal in your eyes from the minister first, take it to party room and then joint party room? How is that going to work?
Yeah, so I mean, I sit down, I propose what amendments I might take or what amendments I'm aware of and what position I think we should take, and I take that to our party room and the joint party room. So
you'd have to get a deal that you're content with. I won't use the word happy. Content with, and then take it to both. It would have to go through both party rooms and shadow cabinet as well.
Yes. Yep.
Right. Okay.
So there's a lot of conversations that have to take place.
Right.
But I'm absolutely focused on, at the very minimum, improving what is currently before us, because if it goes through unchanged, it will be devastating for communities. So there are changes that need to happen to make it at least in part palatable for them. But I will reserve my judgment on the final look of the bill to see what magic we can wave in the Senate.
Door open? How is that sort of
I have reached out to the minister on several occasions, and today I've reached out again to her office, and we're just waiting to hear back. Hopefully.
So you haven't heard back yet?
Not yet. Hopefully they'll come and we'll have a good conversation. I'm here all week next week for estimates as well, so it doesn't, we've got time. The Senate committee is having hearings on the 31st of October and the 1st of November. We'll go through that process. We'll have the committee report as well that will help frame, hopefully, some constructive amendments for reform.
I think if viewers are watching, they'll say this approach makes sense. But why doesn't the coalition do it in some other areas?
And look, there are conversations that always go on in this place that people very rarely hear about, and there's a lot of talks, negotiations that happen.
But a lot of climate policies, the coalition said, no interest, and the Labor's had to go to the Greens. That's happened on a few things.
That has happened on a few things, and sometimes it's a bit, come back to bite them, because also sometimes the Greens are such purists that they vote against a policy that everyone would have thought it would be a no-brainer, and we end up...
But that Labor's been pushed to do that, right? Are you just a bit more of a pragmatist than some of your colleagues, perhaps?
Maybe. Maybe. Or maybe I'm older and more cynical than some of my colleagues as well.
Well, when we talk about the journalism game, nothing wrong with a bit of cynicism. We'll see how that process plays out. And just finally, a lot of talk around the Israel-Palestine situation. What have you made of the comments in particular today of Ed Husic? Now, he said a couple of things, that he wishes there was more sympathy for Palestinian civilians, and the pictures of children in hospital are horrific, quite frankly, and that he believes Palestinian civilians are being effectively punished collectively because of Hamas's actions, but then Israel's reaction. What do you think of that?
Look, and I have a lot of sympathy for the civilians, the innocent people, families in Gaza who live in Gaza. I've got a lot of sympathy for them. But the fact of the matter is, Hamas came out with no warning and murdered 1,300 innocent Israelis, kidnapped, hijacked, whatever you want to call it, another 200. They murdered kids at a peace music festival. And Israel is defending itself. The photos of the hospital were devastating, and I sincerely hope that that was not an Israeli.
Yeah. Well, look, that's what you've said so far. We'll wait to see what the evidence is, and it's a bit hard for you or me to know that.
Yes.
Do you think it's incumbent on Israel from two elements, from a moral point of view, but also to have support of the world, to try where they can to have supplies, basic supplies to hospitals? When you hear of operations without anaesthetic, again, kids there.
Well, I was pleased to read overnight that Israel has now said that they will allow aid to come in over the Egyptian border.
And the Egyptians agree to open it up.
Yes, and I certainly hope that aid gets to where it's needed.
Okay.
Yeah. It's a difficult and a very troubling situation. I have sympathy for both sides, but terrorism is terrorism and must not be condoned, regardless of where you stand in the situation.
Perin, Davey, thanks for your time.
Thank you.